You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, our very own Ty Parks gives us an inside look at what it takes for hospitals to be ready in the event of a natural disaster.
Also, Missouri residents will be voting on a state amendment that would allow court costs to help cover some law enforcement salaries.
And we've already got an above normal start out there today. Hot, sunny, and breezy. Look at that forecast to get you out the doors coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Elise Noe.
And I'm Chris Warner. It's just after 7 a.m. on this Thursday.
You're doing it again.
On Tuesday for the last 2 days. Thursday morning, it's October the 3rd. The only October day we had, though, was October the 1st.
Which was Tuesday.
I think that's why Tuesday's just in my head. It was the most normal day we had.
Right, yes.
It's the only normal day we're going to have for a while. We'll talk about all that in just a moment. Now, thankfully here, we haven't had to contend with anything with severe weather, but of course Hurricane Helene caused some problems.
Yes. Absolutely. In the wake of Hurricane Helene, many people are thinking about emergency readiness. Now, the 4-state region is no stranger to natural disasters and the impact it can have on immediate medical services.
KOAM photojournalist Ty Parks takes a look at a modular hospital provided by Freeman Health System that has just such an event in mind.
We're doing a little mass casualty exercise, and it's what we're calling an alternate care site plan, where we've had to go off-site to take care of our patients. And we've been planning this for a while, and typically we do it for clinical staff. Today is for the people that have to set up the facilities, that have to operate in these conditions. So it's a good learning chance for people that don't typically get to participate with us. When we saw what was going on down south, North Carolina, Florida, total devastation. Everything I'm getting from my people is nothing like we've ever seen. We saw the Joplin tragedy, but imagine that being 500 square miles. Where you can't get in or out of town. You have no water, no electricity, no phones. So I wanted everybody to take a few minutes and think about what could happen. What we've got today, behind me is a 24-bed modular facility. And this is an area we can house patients until we can transport them to a better standard of care. We have a triage center set up that we can have 6 patients to triage in. We have mass communication, satellite, 5G, cellular backup systems, radios, emergency lighting we have on display, a number of different types of generator systems. So we put everything we have out for display, and let us practice with it today. You know, Freeman, we're not a first response agency, so if something is needed in Lamar, Nevada, Springfield, we'll take the facility to them, or they can come and get it. We'll help them set things up, but we're not there to staff everything. And that's why we invited all these other healthcare providers so they can see it firsthand. You don't want to do this in the middle of a disaster and never walk through it, never set anything up.
Certainly an impressive sight and something that's essential to have. You know, as he mentioned, following the Joplin tornado, you know, what was then St. John's set up a similar facility to help with healthcare needs, because in our situation, you know, we lost an entire hospital facility. So very important to be able to have backup medical resources.
Absolutely.
And today, well, it's going to be hot, breezy, and windy. That's all I really need to tell you. We can go ahead and go straight to news, honestly. I mean, that's about it. But I'm sure you folks at home would like a few specifics about how hot and how breezy it's going to get, and I have that information for you. First, though, a live look from our camera in downtown Pittsburgh. The sun is rising, looking pretty good out there this morning, even though we are, for the most part, above normal across the region. Our camera at 7th and Rangeline, looking pretty good as well as we get this day underway. We'll head to the MoDOT camera, 20th and Rangeline. It's a little deserted for 7 o'clock in the morning, but I'm sure here in the next little bit it'll start to fill right back up again. And the KDOT camera, 69 East 520th Avenue south of Pittsburgh, looking good as well this morning. Let's take a look at the future track heading into the afternoon. By the noon hour, already pushing mid-80s, and winds will start picking up here in the next hour or so across the region. As we headed through the day, though, nothing out there. No rain, no clouds, just heat and wind, and then similar to Tuesday, we'll have the wind start to die back down. I think that's why there's a lot of similarities back and forth and a lot of talking about Tuesday. That's why it's on my head. But it'll be like Tuesday. By later this afternoon, early evening, the winds will begin to calm down again. 63 in Joplin right now, 61 over in Pittsburgh. Temperatures for just about everybody above average. The closest now that we still have to normal is Jay at 54. Otherwise, we're upper 50s and low to mid 60s to get the day started. Oh, I apologize. Stockton has come down a bit. They're down to 50, so now they're actually technically below normal. Anyway, we got sunny skies, southwest winds gusting 20-25 miles an hour. Highs today 10-15 degrees above normal as we go upper 80s and low 90s. The heat will continue for the next few days, and we'll have a very brief cool down. We'll go over those details with you in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, a felony traffic stop in Joplin yesterday turns into a car crash. Authorities initiated the stop around 11:30 yesterday morning. Police say the driver then took off. The chase ended at 20th in Connecticut with a T-bone crash involving another vehicle. Now, the driver in the other vehicle was not injured. Two people wanted on felony warrants were transported under police guard to an area hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. You can head over to KOAMNewsNow.com for more details as they become available. Well, MoDOT and AAA Missouri are asking teen drivers to show me your score. It's a competition intended to promote and reward teen safe driving in Missouri with up to $15,000 in prizes up for grabs for schools, teens, and faculty. Now, the challenge also highlights Missouri's recently enacted sit-ins meeting law, which prohibits the handheld use of an electronic device for all drivers. You can learn more about the Show Me Your Score challenge on our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, you can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Well, Missouri voters will soon decide the future of law enforcement funding in the state. Amendment 6 asks whether the Missouri Constitution should allow the use of court costs and fees to support the salaries and benefits of certain law enforcement personnel. KOAM Samantha Walker has more on what voters need to know about what's on their November ballot.
In 2021, this practice could violate the right to court access. This amendment would nullify that decision. Missouri State Senator Rusty Black filed the initial bill that has become Amendment 6. In a column on the Senate website, Black says the amendment would, quote, ensure a robust retirement fund for sheriffs as they approach the end of their careers. But the executive director of the National Police Accountability Project says the amendment could create problems.
You know, it is problematic for court fees to be a source of revenue for law enforcement officers because, you know, that does create, you know, this kind of incentive that we've seen to police for profit, to prosecute for profit. If there is this kind of connection between how many cases you have and, you know, what your revenue is going to be for a particular year.
The Missouri Secretary of State's office says if passed, this measure will have no impact on taxes. Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
You can learn more about what you'll be voting on this November on our website, KOAMNewsNow.com/elections. And those are our top news stories this half hour. Coming up next, Israeli and Hezbollah forces are engaging in close combat. We'll have the latest on the growing conflict in the Middle East. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look at the Rock Barn Pumpkin Farm in Carthage, Missouri. Topping World Watch, 4 Russian journalists are on trial in Moscow on charges over their alleged work for a group founded by the late Russian opposition politician Alexei Navalny. Now, the 4 were led into the courtroom by police yesterday as a crowd of supporters greeted them with applause. All deny the charges of involvement with an extremist group that have been levied against them. Now, 2 have worked for international news organizations Reuters and the Associated Press. Now, if convicted, the 4 journalists face up to 6 years in prison. Well, Pope Francis trying to make the Catholic Church more inclusive, humble, and welcoming by giving ordinary Catholics a greater say in decision-making rather than the all-male priestly hierarchy. Now, the pontiff formally opened the second phase of his big Catholic reform project yesterday. He presided over an opening mass in St. Peter's Square with the 368 bishops and lay people. Now, many are calling for women to take on more positions of responsibility in the church. And 10 study groups will give Francis a final set of proposals to consider on October 26th. President Biden says that Iran has gone way off board, but Israel's responsible to yesterday's missile attack should be proportionate. Now, it comes amid speculation that Israel could target Iranian infrastructure like nuclear sites and oil rigs. Israeli officials say the response will be painful with the anniversary of the October 7th attacks less than 1 week away. Fox News senior correspondent Mike Tobin is in Haifa, Israel with the latest.
For the first time in this conflict, Hezbollah fighters directly engaged Israeli forces. An ambush involving anti-tank missiles in South Lebanon killed 8 Israeli soldiers.
I would like to send my deepest condolences to the families of our heroes who fell today in Lebanon. May God avenge their death.
This just 1 day after the unprecedented missile barrage Iran fired into Israel. Israeli air defenses intercepted many. Guided missile destroyers USS Cole and USS Bulkley fired 12 interceptors at the incoming barrage. Some Iranian missiles got through, hit civilian structures as well as air bases. Israel says its Air Force's capability is unaffected. At today's emergency UN Security Council meeting with the Israeli ambassador watching, Iran's ambassador defended the attack.
Iran's response was a necessity to restore balance and deterrence. Israel must understand that each act of aggression it makes is not unpunished and will be met with consequences.
Weighing retaliation to the second direct attack from Iran, the chiefs of Israel's defense establishment met in the Kiryat, Israel's version of the Pentagon.
We have the capabilities to reach and strike any point in the Middle East, and those of our enemies who have not yet understood this will soon understand.
Still cautious about escalation, U.S. President Joe Biden said he would not support an Israeli strike on Iranian nuclear facilities. Instead, he promised sanctions and called for a meeting of G7 leaders.
All 7 of us agree that they have a right to respond, but they should respond in proportion.
With the fight still on multiple fronts, Hamas has now claimed responsibility for those 2 Palestinian attackers who opened fire on civilians in Jaffa near Tel Aviv. They killed 7 before the gunmen were also killed. In Haifa, Israel, Mike Tobin, Fox News.
And those are our top stories from around the world. Here's Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, taking a look at that future track again. We're starting to warm up, pushing mid-80s as we head to the noon hour today. We're going to take another full look at your forecast here in just a moment. And coming up a little later, a group of Virginia preschool teachers are using a popular children's show to help teach students about democracy. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:18 now on this Thursday morning, and we're going to start again with the future tracks. As mentioned, already pushing the mid-80s as we head toward the noon hour out there, but as you can also see, no clouds, no rain, unfortunately, either. And those winds will be picking up out of the southwest. They'll start doing so in the next 45 minutes or so. Temperatures today about 10 to 15 degrees above normal. And as we head into the evening, that means it's going to be another mild evening out there, with most of us falling back into the 60s. And as we head into our Friday, well, it's kind of a copy and paste day, and so is Saturday. We're going to be in 10, 15 degrees above normal again for our Friday, and we'll go into Saturday, and it's going to be the same situation. Clear skies, not as breezy today as it is today. Tomorrow and Saturday won't be nearly as breezy, but nonetheless, temperatures once again 10, 15 degrees above normal out there. Again, the only October day we had was October the 1st. Our low was 1 degree cooler than average, and our high was spot on. And that was it so far. Outside right now, beautiful view of that sunrise from our camera at 7th and range line as it's starting to peek up from behind the trees there. 63 in Joplin. South breeze is at 7. The air is still fairly dry, so again, please no outdoor burning, no discarding things from your car. That is not a good idea, regardless of what the situation is. Cool spot right now is Stockton, sitting at 50 degrees. And that's as close to average as we can really get. The majority of us, though, upper 50s and low 60s as we get this Thursday underway. And we'll start again. Today, our temperatures this morning about 20 degrees above normal, my goodness, 20 degrees warmer than where we were 24 hours ago. Yesterday, we were 20 degrees cooler than the morning prior, so we've had a pretty big temperature swing over the last about 48 hours out there, and that roller coaster ride, at least, even though it's going to be hot, at least it's going to level out for a couple of days. We got sunny skies, so we're cool initially to start, and with that wind kicking in out of the southwest, again, gusting 25, 30 miles an hour, and with ample sunshine, we are very quick to warm to about 80 degrees by 11 o'clock this morning. Highs today, upper 80s and into the low 90s out there, sunny skies and breezy. Now, similar to Tuesday, as we head into the evening, the winds will begin to calm down a bit. Clear skies continue, low 70s by 10, low 60s for our overnight lows tonight. Then we look at the next 10 days, and unfortunately, the one thing we don't see is rain. It looks like the best chance that we have for at least some kind of rain isn't until about the middle of this month. But that's long-range data, and as you folks at home know, a lot can change between now and then. Maybe it'll change in our favor. We'll get a little more rain. We'll get a lot of rain. It'll be nice. Not too much all at once, but still. All right, 10, 15 degrees above normal tomorrow, Saturday. A little cooler Sunday. Monday of next week, our closest day to average out there as we go mid-70s, maybe some upper 70s. And then we'll heat right back up. It's a short-lived cool down back into the upper 80s and low 90s in the second half of the next work week. That is a check of your forecast. We will be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this. Well, across the country, some teachers are using this election season to educate kids about democracy and what it means to be a citizen. Now, most of those students in the K-12 system are too young to vote for a president. It's not stopping some from casting a unique ballot in a different kind of race.
Now, this race involves characters from a popular children's television show. Fox News' Kevin Uretsky takes a closer look.
Early presidential voting continues kicking into gear across the country. But in a small preschool classroom outside of Washington, D.C., a different kind of election was recently taking place. Staff at the ACCA Child Development Center in Annandale, Virginia say it's never too early to teach kids about democracy. But instead of going over major party candidates or breaking down the three branches of government, educators are using characters from the popular kids show Paw Patrol to help 3- and 4-year-olds learn the basics of voting.
Making your voice count matters, no matter your age.
You think, okay, they're preschoolers, they're infants, they don't know what they're doing. No, they know what they want.
Teachers help students narrow their choices for their favorite character down to 2 before each kid decided which finalist they would vote for.
Is the winner, is it Sky or Avery?
And just like official presidential elections, there could only be one winner. Staff says it gives them a chance to teach kids about respecting everyone's choices.
It's okay to cry, but it's what you do after that and how we respect others while we're feeling upset and hurt and frustrated and scared, and even labeling those emotions. This is why I wanted this candidate to win and they didn't win, or this outcome is what I wanted to happen and it didn't happen.
But even though these young civics scholars still have a few more years until they're able to cast real ballots, their message to adults who can is simple. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
That's certainly neat. Now, my youngest, he enjoys Paw Patrol to a certain point. I don't know if he'd engage in voting around Paw Patrol, but still, it's a unique way to kind of teach kids, get them used to that idea.
And I'm sure they might be hearing things at home or somewhere else, and they're like, what's going on? But if you're able to equate it to something like Paw Patrol that they understand, it can help them a lot,
You know, on the other hand, maybe we all should be voting for some Paw Patrol characters.
You know what?
Why not?
I'm down for it. Let's
I mean,
do it.
You know, look at the morals and values they have.
I know nothing about Paw Patrol.
Well, okay. So you got kids.
Okay, yes.
Okay, kids. I'm acquainted with Paw Patrol.
Sure.
And so they've got the police dog and the fire dog and the worker
I can
dog.
Get on board
and
with that, no problem.
You know, I think that they're all pretty good. They have great moral values.
Yes.
They're teaching good lessons.
Paw Patrol for president.
I think so. I mean, you know what? Just have one of them, and then they can pick their whole cabinet out of the rest of the characters.
Go. All right. Well,
there we go.
Well, coming up, a new exhibit opens today at the Coffeyville Municipal Airport.
And we are going to have another look at your forecast. Hey, they're with the Paw Party. Okay, make sure you get out and vote regardless. We'll have a look at that forecast, talk about the heat, and the KOAM Morning News returns.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. I'm Elise Snowy. Human Resource Departments and companies gathered in Parsons for the Family Friendly Workplaces Summit. The summit aimed to promote the support of families in the workplace through accommodations like paternity and maternity leave. They say family-forward businesses have higher retention rates.
Also benefit from additional successful recruitment when it comes to employees. It's also about making sure that we have, we're supporting the development, the early development of our children and our future workforce.
Now, Savage says she believes family-forward workplaces lead to a stronger Kansas economy. Well, Carthage is celebrating homecoming this week, and students at Pleasant Valley Elementary are taking part in the festivities with a Western theme. Yesterday, students dressed up in some country flair and enjoyed a visit from some barnyard animals. The kiddos enjoyed hands-on interaction with the various animals such as ducks, chickens, bunnies, and some goats.
Actually get to sit on the pony and have their picture took, and they'll get to get in here with the chicks and the ducks and the rabbits, and they'll get to feed them, pet them, hold them.
The school hopes this fun educational experience will leave a lasting impression on the young minds. The city of Carthage also held its Paint the Town Blue celebration yesterday. Food trucks and vendors were all set up at the Carthage High School parking lot by 5:30, and yesterday's highlights came in the form of the homecoming parade, which kicked off at 6:15 and traveled from the 6th grade center to the high school football stadium.
My favorite part about being here tonight is probably going on the flow and just like getting to see everybody that came here to support the teams and stuff.
My favorite part about tonight was being able to be the only Carthage Junior High float in the whole homecoming parade.
The Carthage football team will play Joplin at home tomorrow. Well, the team here at KOAM wants to show their appreciation for everything first responders do for the community. Today from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. we're throwing an appreciation lunch for area first responders and medical personnel. We've already got the grill set for this free lunch event, which is just a small token of our appreciation for everything you do. Interested first responders and medical personnel can head out here to KOAM studio for this free lunch event, and a sincere thank you. Now here's Chris with a look at the forecast.
I want to dress a little comfortably for this lunch because it's going to be getting toasty by the noon hour out there, mid-80s. Quick look outside our camera, downtown Pittsburgh. Look at that sun. Look at those clear skies, and look at these folks getting their day underway. A beautiful day out there, although it's going to be a hot one. Our camera, 7th and range line, another great view of the sunrise this morning, and we'll head down south to the MoDOT camera, 20th and range line. There's some folks getting their day underway across the region, and we'll head to the KDOT camera real quick. 69 East 520th Avenue south of Pittsburgh. There they go, getting that day underway. All right. Let's get your day underway. Mid-80s roughly by the noon hour across the region, at least low to mid-80s, and it'll be breezy. Southwest winds gusting upwards of 25 to 30 miles an hour. And our temperatures today, 10, 15 degrees above average out there. Winds eventually starting to calm down a little later this evening. Temperatures, again, above normal. 63 Joplin, 60 in Pittsburgh and around the area. The closest to normal we have so far, well, it was Stockton. They've come back up. Now it's about Cassville, Miami, Grove, J into the mid-50s. We should be in the low 50s. That's as close as we're getting. And Anderson. Otherwise, low to mid-60s to start the day. Sunny skies, breezy, hot, upper 80s, low 90s for our highs out there. Otherwise, a beautiful day, just not very seasonable out there. We'll have another look at your forecast, talk about how long the heat lasts, and about a very brief cool down that's on the way here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, see you soon, Chris. The commemorative Air Force Rise Above exhibit will take off at the Coffeyville Municipal Airport starting today. KOAM's Lonnie Walton gives us a preview of what visitors can expect to learn.
The commemorative Air Force's Rise Above exhibit is stopping in Coffeyville. The exhibit tells the story of the Tuskegee Airmen and the WASP.
The exhibit itself will actually have a semi-truck that we just watched pull in. It will have different artifacts and it'll have a movie playing, and then we'll actually have an airplane that will fly in.
You know, it's part of history, and it's a part of history that people really don't know about.
Bob Ruski's father started the Aviation Heritage Museum. He says it's important the Air Force is alive and close to Coffeyville.
We want to keep this going so that we won't forget where the Funk airplanes came from, and keep Coffeyville kind of on the map because of what the Funk brothers have done for Coffeyville.
Lisa Brookover is a board member of the Coffee Heritage Museum. She says the exhibit is a big deal to Coffeyville because of the airmen.
Montgomery County had 6 Tuskegee Airmen, and Coffeyville had 1, Othell Dixon.
Ruski says exhibits like this one helps his father's dream live on.
Wanted to basically keep the legacy going of the Funk brothers.
Reporting in Coffeyville, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
And the Rise Above exhibit in Coffeyville runs through Sunday. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. A controversial plan could take place this spring on the West Coast that could cost millions and effectively remove thousands of owls. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from the Rock Barn Pumpkin Farm in Carthage, Missouri. In Consumer Watch this morning, a federal agency eases its oversight on an airline after potential safety concerns. The FAA says a review of United Airlines found no safety issues. The agency says it has ended its enhanced oversight process to allow new aircrafts. The agency's review began in March following a series of incidents involving United planes. The review found the company's safety efforts were, quote, really strong and no significant concerns were discovered. Well, automakers are expected to take another big hit on sales this year. The Wall Street Journal reports an estimate from research firm Ward's Intelligence shows vehicle sales in the third quarter dropped nearly 2% from the previous year, as high prices are still giving consumers sticker shock. Some analysts say Hurricane Helene also put a damper on sales. The recent dock worker strike is likely to hurt vehicle sales in the future as well. Well, JCPenney plans on growing its staff by at least 10,000 by hiring seasonal workers across the nation this holiday season. The company is holding a national hiring event in stores and online positions. JCPenney says benefits for hired seasonal workers include flexible schedules, career advancement opportunities, associate discounts, and in-home daycare services for employees with children. Well, every October, Americans come together to raise awareness for anyone currently in treatment for breast cancer. But many survivors are still dealing with the long-term impacts from the disease. Fox Business correspondent Jerry Willis has more.
We're here at Hope Lodge. This is a housing facility that is free for people who are seeking treatment for cancer. It's offered by the American Cancer Society, housing just one of the costs that cancer patients face. A study showing the financial impact of cancer affects 60% of working age cancer survivors who experience some sort of financial hardship. Listen.
What we know in the United States is that someone with a cancer diagnosis, 40% of those individuals deplete their life savings within the first 2 years post-diagnosis. And this is just not sustainable.
The American Cancer Society estimating that the mean cost of cancer over the course of a year, $5,700 for women diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer, $98,000 for women diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. And the costs go up. 3 in 5 diagnosed face financial hardship, from job loss to loss of health insurance and even taking unpaid leave. All of that, a pressure that can contribute to how people respond to their treatment. The best way to protect yourself is to get screened. Women should get a mammogram, get tested for breast cancer. In New York, Jerry Willis, Fox News.
And those are our top consumer stories. Let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:44 now. On this Thursday morning, we're going to take another look at the future track, which again, really, we could have just recorded one weathercast and run it all day long for the next 3 days, because in all honesty, there's not going to be a lot of changes. We are looking at temperatures already pushing close to the mid-80s by the noon hour out there. Gusty southwest winds, about 25, 30 miles an hour. And for our highs today, we're 10 to 15 degrees above normal out there. Clear skies and dry. And that will continue into the evening and the overnight, and it will go once again into our Friday. Another day, 10, 15 degrees above normal, sunny skies out there, dry conditions. And this is why I said we could just copy and paste the weathercast for the next few days, because we go into Saturday and it is the same situation. Clear skies, temperatures 10, 15 degrees above normal out there, and we are still staying dry. We are clear, dry, and mild for this time of year this morning, sitting at 63 in Joplin. The wind south at 7, and the next little while those winds will start gusting out there. There'll be occasional gusts. I want to keep that in mind. This isn't just continuous gusts or anything like that, but occasional gusts out there. We are still quite dry, so please no outdoor burning of any kind, no starting fires, anything like that. Today is not the day for it, as we're still quite dry across the area, with severe drought conditions too across most of the region. Temperatures this morning, the majority of us, of course, above normal, upper 50s and low to mid 60s out there. The closest to normal that we have would be Anderson, sitting at 54 degrees. All of us warmer than where we were yesterday, though, to the tune of about 20 degrees warmer. In fact, Fort Scott, 23 degrees warmer now than 24 hours ago. And of course, yesterday we were 20 degrees cooler than the day prior. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride of temperatures. Now, even though it's going to be hot the next few days, at least for the next few days, that roller coaster kind of levels out a bit for us, and we'll have a little dive again before we come back up. All right, so cool to start. And then the winds kick in out of the southwest, sunny skies, so we're fast to warm, about 80 by 11. Our highs today, upper 80s and low 90s across the area. Plentiful sunshine and some breezy conditions out there as well. The winds will start to let up as we head later into the evening hours, and we'll continue with clear skies down to the low 70s by 10, falling back into the low 60s for our overnight lows. So that's about 10 to 12 degrees above where we should be just on the overnight lows alone. Upper 80s, low 90s on Friday. Upper 80s, low 90s on Saturday. And we cool back a little bit, close to normal Saturday night. A little cooler, but still about 10, 12 degrees above normal Sunday. And then we have a repeat of what happened Tuesday, but it's going to happen a day earlier. Down into the upper 40s Sunday night into Monday, and then maybe a degree or two above normal on our Monday. And then it stops again. We heat right back up heading into the second half of next week. Temperatures upper 80s and low 90s out there. And unfortunately, over the next several days, as you can see, just hot and dry. That's a check of your forecast. We'll be back with more right after this.
The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service will implement a plan to kill hundreds of thousands of barred owls. It comes as an effort to keep another owl species from extinction.
Tanya Bacchus takes a look at the controversial plan that could cost hundreds of millions of dollars.
Spotted owl populations are on the decline in Washington, Oregon, and now California. The birds that are federally protected as an endangered species are being displaced by barred owls. Barred owls are larger, more aggressive, and eat a wider variety of food.
And they have basically pushed spotted owls out of their territories into marginal habitat where they generally die pretty quickly.
Robin Bound is with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. She says spotted owls are headed toward extinction, declining as much as 9% per year in some areas. To protect the spotted owl, USFWS has approved a plan to shoot and kill up to 500,000 barred owls.
We evaluated all the potential methods for reducing barred owl populations, both non-lethal methods and lethal methods. What we found from that was that lethal barred owl removal did, in fact, improve the condition for spotted owls. We had almost immediate improvement in spotted owl survival.
The barred owls would be lured using recorded owl calls, properly identified, then shot. The plan to kill has divided wildlife advocates and conservationists. Those against it call it inhumane.
Killing off one species to safeguard another can't be the only solution.
Hillary Franz is Washington State's Commissioner of Public Lands. She, along with Animal Wellness Action, the Center for a Humane Economy, and 200 wildlife protection and animal welfare organizations, are urging the government to pull back on the plan.
How can the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service guarantee that only barred owls will be targeted? How could we prevent the surviving barred owls from simply recolonizing and repopulating the very areas we're trying to preserve?
The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service says it didn't make the decision lightly. The culling of barred owls would take place over 30 years, and they would analyze the data at 5-year intervals to see if the plan is effective.
Now, the plan would not begin until the spring.
And Animal Wellness Action and the Center for a Humane Economy promised to sue to halt the plan in federal court. Certainly some tough decisions that have to be made to kind of sort things out.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, for sure.
In the last couple of days, you've had some tough decisions to make on how do you dress for the day. I mean, yesterday you're dressing in a coat and then you got to keep shorts on underneath your long sleeve shirt or whatever the case may. Oh, well, okay, you know what I mean. Today, though, a little easier to figure out how to dress. So let's take a look at the future track real quick. So today, mid-80s by noon, southwest winds gusting upwards of 20, 25 miles an hour out there. Skies will be clear. It will be warm. It will be breezy. It will be sunny. So just dress for warm weather today. Mild again tonight, and it'll be another day of 10 to 15 degrees above normal for our Friday, and that trend will continue into our Saturday. Now, initially, we're a little slower to warm up, but don't worry. We'll get back into the upper 80s and low 90s once again. We'll have another look at your forecast and the news you need to know right after this.
Well, here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Missouri voters will soon decide the future of law enforcement funding in the state. Amendment 6 asked if the state constitution should allow for the use of court costs and fees to support the salaries and benefits of certain law enforcement personnel. And the Missouri Supreme Court previously ruled this practice could violate the right to court access. This amendment would nullify that decision. Well, human resource departments and companies gathered in Parsons for the Family-Friendly Workplaces Summit. The summit aimed to promote the support of families in the workplace through accommodation like paternity and maternity leave. They say family-forward businesses have higher retention rates. And the team here at KOAM wants to show their appreciation for everything first responders do for the community. Today from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., we're throwing an appreciation lunch for area first responders and medical personnel. Interested first responders and medical personnel can head out here to the KOAM studio for this free lunch event. And a sincere thank you.
And it's going to be a warm one today, 10, 15 degrees above normal as we go upper 80s, low 90s. Southwest winds gusting upwards of 25 to 30 miles an hour at times. It won't be continuous gusts, but it will be a bit breezy out there. Winds die down this evening, and we're low 70s by 10. Overnight lows 10 degrees above normal, at least into the low 60s. The heat continues Friday into Saturday. A little bit cooler on Sunday, and then near normal, at least one more time. As we head into Monday, short-lived though, temperatures go back into the upper 80s and low 90s as we head into the second half of next week.
All righty. Well, people from around the world arrived Wednesday at the southern tip of Patagonia and in San Julian, Argentina to catch a glimpse of the sun's Ring of Fire eclipse. The annual solar eclipse was visible Wednesday over Easter Island and the tip of Argentina and Chile.
During an annular eclipse, the moon obscures all but a ring-shaped sliver of the sun. That's because the moon is at a point in its orbit further from the Earth. And of course, don't forget, we also have that second moon.
Yes.
Business going on. Even though it's not as, thankfully, it's not as big
Right.
as our moon. Otherwise, we'd probably have more serious
But that's
situations
still cool,
going on.
nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for letting us put the good into your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather at noon.
Yeah, have a great rest of your morning.